Audiobook Mars Attacks Memoirs, interviews with screenwriter Jonathan Gems by Mila Pop. So what happened when it was released?
Well, the studio didn't really support it. They were negative about it. And there was no reason to be. It was a fun movie. It scored very high in the test screenings. The test screenings were a trip. The first one was in San Francisco. I had to fly up on the plane and I was almost late. I got there just as it started. And it was an extraordinary experience. It was held in this big movie theater. The place was packed with college kids. Tim was nervous. He was in the projection booth. I got a seat in the audience. There were a lot of executives there, Warner Brothers executives, sitting and standing at the back, going in and out of the door. And Bob Daly, the president of Warner's, he was there. Tim was hiding from them. And all these students from that college in San Francisco, Berkeley, they'd got free tickets in exchange for filling out a questionnaire, asking detailed questions to get their thoughts about the movie. And this test screening was the first public screening. Tim wasn't happy about it because the movie wasn't finished. They'd stuck in a temp music track and cards saying visual effect here and scene missing. He hated people seeing the movie before it was finished. It was really painful for him. Anyway, the audience went wild. They went absolutely nuts. And halfway through the movie, they started doing a thing I'd never seen before, drumming their feet hard on the floor. It sounded like thunder, hundreds of feet drumming on the floor. It was deafening. They were so excited. And at the end of the film, they all stood up, whooping and hollering. It was extraordinary. The studio executives were bewildered by it. Despite the blanks in the film and the animated sequences that weren't finished, the students totally loved the movie. After it was over, I went out into the lobby and noticed a huddle of Warner Brothers executives. And Bob Daly, the president, saw me and said, "Hey, Jonathan, come over here." So I went over, and it was strange. All the executives formed a line, like a line of men in Armani suits. Bob Daly was in the middle, and he said, "Where's Tim?" I said, "He was in the projection booth. Do you want me to go find him?" Daly shook his head and said, "Well, where is he? We're waiting for him." He was annoyed that Tim was avoiding him. He was the boss of Warner Brothers after all, and I guess he felt he was being insulted. So I tried to smooth things over. "I'm sure he'll be out in a minute." All the executives were tense. They were kind of sweating with tension. So I tried to get them to chill out. I smiled at the president and said, "So, what did you think? It went well, didn't it?" This was an understatement. I doubt if they'd ever seen such an ecstatic reaction to a movie. I know I never had. I mean, they had to be pleased by this amazing audience reaction. But Bob Daly was tight-lipped. He didn't want to say anything. So I turned to the executive next to him and said, "What did you think? Did you like it?" But he kept his mouth shut too, and barely acknowledged me. I was mystified. Why were they so uptight? So I turned back to the president. "Well, the audience liked it a lot, didn't they? That's got to be a good sign, don't you think?" Well, very reluctantly, after a strained pause, Daly said, "It played great." And he made a chopping gesture with his hand. I turned to the guy on his right, who made the same chopping gesture, and he said, "It played great." And then, all along the line, the executives made the same chopping gesture, and each one of them said, "It played great." If I hadn't seen that, I wouldn't have believed it. It was like an over-the-top parody of studio yes men, but it really happened.
So none of them said what they thought of it?
No, they all said it played great, which is saying nothing, because of course it played great. The audience was screaming with delight. Nobody could deny that. There were some guys from Industrial Light and Magic there, so I went over to talk to them, and a little while later, Tim emerged, and I saw Bob Daly and the executives pounce on him. It was like they swallowed him up, and I didn't see him after that.